What we really need is more of collaboration, cooperation with the startups, with people who have the skill sets and the very, very specific knowledge which is required for deep tech.
Hello, sir. Welcome to MIT SMR India. How are you doing today?
Thank you very much for having me.
So, my first question to you would be NAL has played a foundational role in India's aerospace journey. What's the next leap you envision for Indian aerospace R&D beyond what ISRO and HAL has been doing?
So we have been traditionally into more of testing or providing testing services. We would like to venture into technology development, particularly in deep tech, uh, and also we would like to move over from having either testing or technology development to looking at products, and particularly with industry in collaborative mode. So I think that probably is going to help us translate faster, because the rate of innovation all over the world is dramatically speeded up. So we think that's the best way going forward. Yeah.
Okay. With drones and urban air mobility getting attention, what opportunities do you see for India to leapfrog in aerospace innovation rather than just playing catch up?
So the both for drones and urban air mobility, there are presently, when we look at drones, one of the biggest concerns which the country is having is how do we increase the indigenous content in those drones, whether it's the flight controllers and the semiconductors which are involved, the designs, and so on, or even the motors and the rare earth magnets which are essential for many of those to be made in large numbers. Also, the in terms of even having propellers of our own, custom made for our vehicles, because we would need different size of these drones. Today we are seeing relatively smaller ones, but perhaps tomorrow there may be cargo drones and so many other possibilities. And that is also true for urban air mobility, because you would carry 2 or 8 passengers, and so therefore this multi-rotors, which is today prevalent, would have to be scaled up, and also would have to essentially largely be made in India. So this is where I think we would like to work with the private industry more so, because of the speed at which they can do many things, particularly procurement and so on, and our own inherent capability, not only within the National Aerospace Laboratories, but we also have sister laboratories within the CSIR system, which are working on battery technologies, for example, lithium ion, or who are working on electro-optic sensors, or those who are working on the electronics itself, maybe even the communication, because many of these drones would require communication possibly over long distances and secure communication, things like that. So we are in fact integrating many of our sister laboratories into this process of innovation, and also we are more and more looking for having direct partnership model rather than a transfer of technology model, whereby we can speed up the innovation, and overall it helps to build an ecosystem which then we can depend upon to deliver the solutions, and we can move up the value chain into newer or better technologies.
Can you share a success story where NAL helped incubate or transform aerospace technology, to industry or startup with real world impact?
So, couple of things I can give an example, because uh, traditionally we have always been working with larger industries. So, coming to that aspect, if you look at the carbon composites which have been designed for the LCA Tejas, almost 150 plus parts of the LCA Tejas were manufactured first cut at NAL. They were proven, tested, and so on, and eventually that has been transferred not only to private industry but also to HAL for the huge amount of LCA Tejas orders that they have now received. So that I would rate as one of the major transfer of technologies which has had a big impact. Uh, Thanks to NAL's initiative in this particular area, today you find many private industries have learned their, initial years they have probably been directly associated with NAL or have been our TOT partners, and through them acquired this ability to work with this material, which is so popular now. Uh, in terms of what we have done for startups, I would say we started exploring drones and remote controlled vehicles way back in 2000, and subsequently over a period of last more than 20 years, we have been primarily working in the civilian side on the drone side. So we have transferred our quadcopter, octocopter. So depending on how many rotors, so octocopter would have typically 8 rotors and all. So all of that which is able to lift heavy weights, almost up to 20 kgs, our octocopter can do that. Uh, we have transferred to many of the smaller companies, startups, 7 of them, and we are now working with again private industry in partnership mode to deliver loitering munition projects, for example, which has now become so popular after the recent operations that has happened. uh, we also have an incubator which is housed in our laboratory, in our premises, and we would be happy to have startups who would like to either use our facilities, whether it is testing, or would like to take the benefit of our design experience, or even to kind of jointly develop technologies which are of interest to them as well.
Where do you see India making the biggest mark in global aerospace institution? I mean, aerospace tech. Autonomy, materials, or something entirely different.
So today, I think in terms of autonomy, I would say that since I was also personally involved in the flight control law development for the light combat aircraft, so I would say we are fairly state of the art when it comes to fly-by-wire flight control, especially for military aircraft. And in our own vehicles, the unmanned vehicles, the drones, we have successfully demonstrated autonomous takeoff and landing and so on. So that part of it is largely there, but as I told you, uh, it is based on hardware which is not necessarily indigenous, right? So that's going to be a challenge, but I'm sure it will happen. I feel in terms of the avionics, perhaps because there is so much push by the government and overall for semiconductor, just not just having fabless, but also doing other aspects of semiconductors. So I feel that is something, because I was in the session which talked about the kind of growth that is expected in India for semiconductor products. It's something staggering. By 2047, Viksit Bharat, by that time, the demand is going to be huge. So I'm sure the country will figure out. So I think avionics, if you say related to, uh, you know, if electronics grows, obviously avionics grows. So I would put my bet on avionics as probably something where we will see huge changes, but also to some extent in materials. If we are able to get our supply chain in position, then definitely the demand for products will drive having local raw material supply as well. So I think avionics probably followed by materials. I would hazard that, and autonomy more or less we are quite okay with that. I mean, we are quite advanced in that sense. Yeah.
Okay. What kind of collaboration models do you think India's research institution need with startups and global players to truly unlock innovation?
So laboratories like ourselves, which are in the R&D space, so the big thing is that it is not for profit, right? So we have many modes of engagement. So the traditional mode is where we develop something and transfer the technology. I think that is somewhat outdated now. Like I said, with the fast pace of technological development, what we really need is more of collaboration, cooperation with the startups, with people who have the skill sets and the very, very specific knowledge which is required for deep tech. And we can play a supporting role by providing test facilities, because these are some things where return on investment is not really easy to bring out. So it's difficult for somebody in deep tech to set up everything which is associated with design development as well as testing. So we could help them. We could also provide them with test bed for flying, because there's another challenge, especially in aerospace, that you can do a lot on the ground, but how do you say that it's proven unless it flies? So we can provide those platforms which can be used as test beds for their products or technologies and so on. So we are exploring all of those. It depends now on if our vision and the vision of these startups, they come together, then all of these things are possible. And we have tried all these models, and we have found a very good success. Definitely with bigger companies, we have found success in the partnership model. We hope that with startups also we will start finding, these kinds of opportunities.
My last question to you would be, for young researchers or aerospace innovators in India, what's your advice on navigating a field where breakthroughs take time but impact is for sure?
Yeah, so having a good roadmap is important, I think. And it's not only true for innovators, it's also true for labs like us. We have traditionally not done that kind of road mapping. However, there are lots of benefits of that. The other thing that one should be conscious is that when you are into a main line of technology development, you should be always looking out for spin-offs wherever possible, because there will always be the challenge of return on investment. Like for us, it's not so much of that, but we can play the long game, whereas others may have to deliver results. So they would have to look for not only the main line, but also whether there are spin-offs in other areas, allied areas like automotive, or anything else which is relevant to the technology which they are developing. Because ultimately it's about being at the right place at the right time. It's hard enough to be right. Uh, so having good partnerships helps to speed up and be in time. And having a roadmap gives a certain sense of continuity, so that you are not basically starting and stopping all the time, right? So you don't keep changing. Gives you a level of stability in terms of innovation as well. So I mean, this is what I think. Uh,
Your advice on.
which, yeah, this is what I think should work. Yeah.
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 Thank you so much for your time and insights, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure.